taken the position that if people need to lose weight and they set a goal and they meet the goal, that we wanted to reduce their health care premiums. And so that is an ongoing thing, even though we may not be in the middle of running a blitz. But this is the third blitz that we will have run in our wellness program. And a lot of people have worked really hard to keep the continuity going so that we can really kind of create a culture of being well and being fit in our company. I imagine everybody here is pretty familiar with the actual mechanics of the blitz, or the program, if you will. But just to refresh your memory, the whole idea is that for those who qualify, who need to lose a minimum number of pounds, we set a goal. And that person then has the opportunity to meet that goal, and by meeting the goal, to get a reduction in health care premium costs. Now, let me say this. The research indicates that if there's an incentive for people to do something, they tend to be interested in doing it. And since this is a $5 a week reduction for both the employee and for the spouse, if the spouse qualifies, that could amount to $500 a year for both to meet a minimal goal. The real goal is to get those people who need to lose more than the first increment, the first 10 pounds, maybe people who need to lose 50 pounds, to keep going and earn additional incentives and put themselves in a position where they really are healthy. But this isn't just about incentives. What we really need to do here is we're not really having a diet. We're not in favor of diets. What we're trying to do is create a culture of wellness in the whole company. So what we want to do is we want to create groups in which we support each other and we actually teach each other how to change. So it's very important to say that we have a support group. And starting with this iteration, we're doing something which I hope will be absolutely transformative. Each group is going to have a coach. And I hope everybody who's come in today has already been assigned a coach. So you've met your coach. The coaches are senior interns in kinesiology at UTSA. This is what they're fixing to do for a living. Not necessarily just this precise kind of a project, but to work with people and help them accomplish a life change. So I think I would particularly like to introduce the three coaches. Can we have, are they in the room? All right, will you bring them in? So we have three coaches for this group, and this is really important because this is the first time that we've used the kinesiology interns from UTSA. And what I'm going to ask them to do is just stay in touch with every group. So what we've done in the past, we've had weekly meetings, and they've been pretty voluntary and maybe kind of sparsely attended. But it's really important that these meetings be a support group. So I really want to talk in terms of you're going to the meetings every week. And at the meetings, as you know, we have a little lecture. Now the lecture, I'll just say a little something about that right now. The lecture is designed to be short. It's done by a nutritionist from the San Antonio Food Bank, and her mission is to give you bite-sized learning. They call it vignette learning. So what we've tried to do with these lectures, the teaching portion, is to say, what do people really want to know? What are they asking to know in having a healthy lifestyle? And so we've kind of asked you, and we continue to ask you, what topics should we build into our little lecture series? But just to give you an idea, one of the things that people keep saying is, well, if I start eating healthy, I hear it costs more. Does it cost more to buy lettuce than it does to buy Twinkies? And the answer is, come to the lecture, and we'll actually go through how to buy in the grocery store the right kind of food and know how to buy within your budget. That'll be one talk. Short, but important and on the point. Another one that people keep asking is, yeah, but, I have to eat out a lot. Well, we all do. Thank goodness for that, right? That's the business we're in. We don't want to tell people don't eat out. We just want to tell people eat out right. So one of our lectures is, how do you eat out? And specifically, I've told you this before, specifically, how do I eat Mexican food? That's what we eat here. Let's not pretend that we're going to change our lives and never eat Mexican food. Of course we are. But there are certain things that we can do that make it healthier to do that. If we could get everybody just to change from flour tortillas to corn tortillas, we'd have a major victory. Now, not everybody wants to do it because maybe you grew up in a home in which flour tortillas were served all the time. So it's kind of against the way, it almost feels like it's against the way you were brought up. And maybe it is, but it's still good and it's still healthy and it's still Mexican food. So if you can make some changes like that, which we'll talk about in the lectures, it'll help get you on the path. That's why the support group, the weekly meetings, and the meetings with the coaches are really important. Now, I have the three coaches here to my right. I have Danielle, hold your hand up, Gerardo, and Stanley. And they're going to be the ones, they'll be at each of the weekly meetings, and they'll just hang out with you and check with you and see how you're doing and help to develop plans for specific things to do. Specific things to do. I've been reading a great book. Some of you may know it. It's called Switch. And the whole idea of Switch is how do you make change happen? It's really all of this is about making change happen. And one of the things that the book Switch says is you have to give people concrete, specific little things to do. Positive things and negative things. So things like eat corn tortillas, that would be a way that you could lead people on the path to change. Another one might be drink Diet Coke instead of Coke. By the way, do you know how much sugar there is in a Coke? There are 4 tablespoons of sugar in every Coca-Cola. Why would you ever drink one again? So that's what the coaches are going to do, and that's why I've spent a little time talking about the support group. It's not just about incentives. Okay, so then you meet the goal, and you earn the premium reduction, and that applies to both employee and to spouse. I think I said that. And then, if you need to, you start a new goal. So today, you should know if your goal is more than, say, 10 pounds, if it's a lot more, wonderful. We start on the path today, and we do it in easily reachable increments. So we don't say to somebody, you need to lose 100. We say, you need to lose 100, but don't worry, we're going to do it one step at a time in 10-pound bites. That's the plan. Now, I don't think I need to tell you why this is important. You know why it's important, but I'm going to refresh your memory. The important thing, we can look at it on a big picture level, and we can look at it on a personal level. Healthcare is 16% of the economy. It's going to 20%. That means that theoretically 20% of everything that you and I earn is going to end up going to healthcare, our healthcare costs. Is that sick? And it's going up. The total overall cost of healthcare is going up 10% a year. So in our group medical plan, for example, those costs are going up every year by 10%. Who can keep up with that? So the only thing that we can do, the only thing that's within our control is to try to be healthy. So what that means is that if any one of us avoids a major coronary or avoids getting diabetes, it's good for every single person here because it keeps the cost of our group medical down. So another way to look at it is to say that by reducing your health care premiums, it's like giving yourself a raise. I think that's very important to put the word out, to say, look, there is actually a way to give yourself a raise by just losing 10 pounds. That doesn't seem like such a hard thing to do. Now, so that's both the big picture and the small picture level, but I want to go back to another aspect of the small picture, and you've heard me say this before. When I think about the human cost of bad health, I think about my friend and your friend, Rudy Flores, who worked here with me for 30 years. We started together. He worked in the warehouse. He was a little guy, wonderful disposition. Everybody loved him. I don't know if everybody here knew him or even anybody, but he was a little roly-poly guy, and everybody called him Boo Boo because he looked like the bear in the cartoons. And he wasn't grossly overweight, but he got diabetes, and he died a terrible death. I don't know if you know much about diabetes, but I bet everybody in here knows somebody who's got it, and it gets you from the extremities. So they took his fingers. He went blind. He died. Turned out that Rudy drank a liter of Coke every day. A liter of Coke every day. The point is, we all have friends and family who suffer or who might suffer or who are in danger of suffering from this unbelievable disease. And we, in our group, we can prevent it, both for ourselves and our families, by doing just what we're doing here. And if there are those of us who are not here today that should be, I hope you'll go out to them and say, look, come join us. I got a support group. I got a coach. We'll do it, and it's not going to be hard. It's our epidemic in San Antonio that we need to address. So for whatever we do here, it's going to be good for all of us. Now, as I said, we're not here to do a diet. We're here to bring about lasting change, one step at a time. But we're not here to do a 10-pound blitz and forget about it. We're here to say, hey, even if we only need to lose 10, how about doing it in such a way that it brings about change in our way of living? Now, I've told you this before. There's a wonderful book called Change or Die. And it's a great, it's another great book about change and how change happens. And it's a trick title. The title is Change or Die. And here's the trick. The idea is this, that if somebody's really sick, let's say somebody's had 3 heart attacks, and you tell them, if you don't change the way you eat and the way you live, you're going to die. Change or die. Statistically, you know what happens? They die. People don't change because they're threatened. They don't change even when they know. It's not they don't want to, but it's just hard to change. So we have to study how to change. And the answer is you don't threaten people. You tell people, look, together we can do this. So empathy is important. And the other thing is short-term goals. You have to do it in little bits, little bites. You do it 10 pounds at a time, and you do the 10 pounds by doing one thing at a time. Stop drinking Coke. So short-term goals and empathy. That's friends. That's people in your support group. That's having a coach to talk to you every week. And that's why we're going to have the coaches say, hey, you know what? Not only am I going to come to your weekly meetings, but I'm going to organize a walk for our little group of 20 people. You want to come on the walk? You didn't make it this week? It's all right. Come on, we're going to go it next week. The point is support. And we have to do that. We support each other every day at work. We need to do it here. And just for a little bit of scientific fact from a non-scientist, it turns out that what happens is as you build new habits, you're literally laying down new nerve cells in your brain. You're actually building a little pathway in your brain that represents that habit, the good habit. You still got a pathway for the bad habit, but you want that pathway to kind of atrophy and go away, and you want to build up the new one. So you're literally rewiring your brain. You're rewiring it, and the neurons in the brain are firing off every time you do this new habit. That's why I call it rewire and refire. That's what we're actually doing here, is rewiring our brains. That's why I keep focusing on the fact that it's about change. It's not about something very temporary.